Hello and welcome to Morning Trade with Moneycontrol. I'm Karunya Rao and I'm here to help you navigate the trading day with actionable strategies, sectoral trends and most importantly your queries during the show. So please keep those comments coming on our live feed. We'll address your questions before we wrap up. But first, let's see what the global handover looks like. The Nasdaq rallied over 3%, staying on track for its fifth straight winning week. The Dow too gains while the S&P 500 closes lower. Futures, however, slide after Apple and Alphabet's quarterly earnings miss estimates. Stocks in the Asia-Pacific trade mixed while the SGX Nifty signals a higher start for the Indian market. Meanwhile, NSE puts Adani Enterprises, Adani Port, Ambuja Cement under ASM framework amid stock rout. SBI and ITC will be in focus as they're set to deliver their Q3 numbers today. And also in the spotlight are IndusInd Bank and HDFC AMC. All right, let's get going and bring on board our first guest for the day. Raja Venkatraman of Neo Trader joins us. Good morning and talk to us about the levels to watch as far as the indices are concerned and how's the day looking so far?
Yeah, currently the way the entire indices are moving right now, we are noticing that it's trying to make an upward drive. Well, Adani story is now everywhere, all over the place. But then what we are really trying to do is we are also trying to counter the other kind of negative news flow in a way, is that the result season has not been as encouraging as one had expected. So with a 50-50 kind of results which are coming in as part of the Q3 result outflow, we are also not having any encouraging news flow at the moment. So results on one side, the entire Adani news flow on one side, and also a hike in interest rate from the Fed. Well, we had definitely taken care of that 25% rate hike. But still, what is happening is that there are no positive triggers which are emerging at the moment. And as a result, I feel that important support zones around 17,600 on the Nifty and 40,000 on the Bank Nifty are going to be a very important level to watch out for. Well, we are on the last trading day of the week, and even on the last trading day of the week, the entire news flow which is emerging from the Adani group does not seem to be encouraging. Every day, a negative news flow is coming in, and you could definitely attribute a large part of the decline to the kind of news flows which are emerging from Adani. Well, select stocks are doing well. Well, ITC is doing majority of the bulk work, but I don't think that's going to be enough. And we really need to see the challenge to the upside. So now talking about the levels, I feel that 18,000 on the upside is going to be the max rally, which you can see on Nifty. And on the indices, on the Bank Nifty, it will be till 41,000. So those are the supply zones, and the levels which I mentioned earlier are the demand zones. So these are something which you need to take care of. But then when I'm stepping into the market today, even as we are getting a hint of positive bias, I am still maintaining a negative bias, and I'll wait for the first half an hour of the day to take any decision further.
Interesting times, very unprecedented. Who would have thought Adani stocks will be the ones tanking or weighing heavy on the market and ITC capping the downside. So, yeah, I mean, how the tables seem to have turned. But let me touch base with my second guest as well. Sanjeev Bhasin is here with us from IIFL Securities. Mr. Bhasin, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
Talk to us about all that is transpiring. This week has been very, very news heavy. You have a lot of news flow associated to Adani stocks trickling in. There was budget. There was the US FOMC meet. ECB, Bank of England meeting is also happening in the very same week. Earnings are trickling in. Talk to us about how investors should navigate and what kind of news flow or developments to focus on when sort of looking at their investing strategies and their own portfolio, because right now there is definitely a lot of concerns, mainly because of what's happening in Adani pack of stocks, but overall also the market mood seems to be largely dominated by it. So what should retail investors do?
Yeah, good morning. The perfect picture of greed and fear. I mean, I heard the earlier commentator who seemed very bearish. The Nasdaq is up 18% in this year, the best start to the new year ever. The German DAX is 100 points away from all-time highs. The Taiwan and the South Korean indexes are up 16%. And we are, weathering this storm. I think this is the best time. Listen, and I will not be wrong. Next week we'll cross 18,200, and you will be, once the momentum starts, you'll leave all this Adani fiasco behind. There has been too much of weightage given to Adani factor and so on, and I'm not getting deeper into it. I think corporate results, particularly banks, were par excellent. Look at the results from some of the cement players. Look at the results from some of the IT companies. I mean, 3 months back when JP Morgan downgraded IT is up 18%. I'm not naming someone. But if you don't buy this time, then you'll never make money. The budget was a standout. If this Adani fiasco had not happened, we would have been at 18,700. So I will make no two ways about it. I think today may be the last opportunity you have. 6th, 7th onwards, the markets will move one way. The second half of February may be the best you've seen in 6 months. So you hold me to my word. Call me next week when you are well past 18,200.
Well, fingers crossed, Mr. Bhasin, for that. But, so far, like you said, many of these global indices are doing fairly well. They've started 2023 on a strong note. But the drop in crude prices, the upside in many of these global equity markets, they still haven't managed to boost the domestic sentiment. And, of course, it's the premium valuation of Indian markets versus other emerging markets also. Something that seems to be, repeatedly being flagged off by many market watchers. What do you think will now aid the recovery that you're talking about?
Karunya, there is always cause and effect. When the markets fall, we'll attribute it to Adani. When it rises, we'll attribute it to retail flows. Take it with a pinch of salt. When did you see Tencent rise 100%? Tencent is one of the leading IT players in China. When did you see Meta rise 18.5% on a single day? So I'm just saying there is a lot of, your ears are hearing the noise. The noise is unclear because people don't have a clue because the index is not moving and Adani's caused a lot of ripples. There is a collateral risk which is more or less addressed. But let me again reiterate, Adani is not India and India is not Adani only. Yeah. You have a whole basket of stocks which are hitting out new highs. 3 days back, ITC was a favorite whipping boy. And look where ITC is today. I'm just giving an example. So I have no two ways. The banks are going to lead from the front. You will have stellar results today from Bank of Baroda and State Bank. I think that the whole pack is looking extremely ripe for a very, very strong rally. And notwithstanding the Adani news flows, which are, so most of that is got priced in. There is no reason India is now going to underperform. In fact, we've had the worst January against a global backdrop. So I think global macros, everything is now point. By the way, the yields in US bonds are hitting a 6-month low. Yeah. The dollar is headed to 2 digits. Oil is low. You cannot have a better place to invest than India. So I am extremely bullish, and call me when we cross 18,200. We'll do the interview again next week.
Well, we would look forward to that, Mr. Bhasin. And, you did partly answer my next question that banks will lead from the front. But any other exciting or promising pockets of the market that investors could look at right now, given that you're saying it's a good opportunity and before the pullback rally begins?
Karunya, you got the budget going up. 7.25 has become 10 lakh crores on infrastructure. Larsen and Toubro, Siemens, they'll be laughing their way to the bank. Bharat Forge is my dark horse. It is headed to 1,000 plus. Look at stocks like Concor. The disinvestment is round the corner. The stock trades at 5 times 1 year forward. Look at the cement plays. Ultratech is looking right because money shifted from there to the Ambuja and the other issues into Ultratech. Ultratech is looking poised for 8,500. And, Bank of Baroda's numbers today will be the best in the history of the bank. So I think Bank of Baroda is headed to new highs. As a disclosure, we are invested in this. But leave aside that, Karunya, just buy the Nifty and Bank Nifty, and at the end of February, you will be laughing your way to the bank.
Okay, great. Well, Mr. Bhasin, you're making a very compelling case to buy into the markets right now. Thank you so much for sharing your observations and insights with us. Always a pleasure having you on board. Okay. Well, back to the technicals of the market, Raja. We have a rather optimistic and, different, very, very different view from what you had shared with us. So, good for our viewers. Then they have both the viewpoints to discuss, to look into, and to assess before they decide what to do with their investments and with a host of stocks that they own or want to own going forward. But let's bring on board some of these stocks that could be in the limelight today on back of news flow. So Adani, of course, tops that list. What we're given to understand is that the NSE has put Adani Enterprises, Adani Port and Ambuja Cement under the ASM framework. Intraday trading in these companies will require 100% upfront margin. And not only that, in fact, a lot more news flow coming in. Adani Enterprises will now be out of Dow Jones sustainability indices. In fact, earlier today, I also read a report which stated that Adani is planning to prepay some of its loans in order to boost the investor confidence and the sentiment overall. But let's talk about these three names, Raja. Enterprises, Ports and Ambuja. How are they looking?
Yeah, so let's take it one by one. Now, when you talk about Adani Enterprise, yes, the fall has been quite steep. It was unexpected. Yes, there was a slight decline considering the negative reports which had come in, but not the kind of fall which we are seeing. And what's happened is that the prices have nearly more than halved from their highs, which we saw just a few days ago. So what we are really seeing is that they are hitting some oversold zones. So what you could have is a relief rally. Well, I am definitely holding on to my supports level, and well, whether the markets are going to rally from here or not, it's a dictum of the market. The results are many, but then the final verdict will be what the market is going to give. So Adani Enterprise has entered into an oversold zone. So selling Adani Enterprise at this moment would not be a good point. And now when you move on to ports, right, there have been talks of the bonds, the Adani bonds, which are having some distress levels, as a result of which it's going to cause problems to the equity shareholders. So that is something which is going to be of concern, and that is going to be acting as an impediment to any rise which you're going to see in the stock. So like Mr. Sanjeev Basin said, Adani is not India and India is not Adani. Definitely, that's a point well taken. But then what you got to see is that it has been a darling amongst the retailers, investors, traders for the last more than 3 to 4 years. So now suddenly it's not going to disappear overnight. So yes, even now, if you go and take a look at the kind of action which are happening, everybody wants to participate Adani even at this moment. So what does it mean? It means that people are willing to, so a lot of action is going to happen. So I feel that yes, from here on, Adani Enterprise and Adani Port are definitely going to witness a rally. And let's move on to Ambuja Cement. And yes, all these stocks, okay, all these stocks have reached deep oversold levels. So now if anyone wants to look into it as a buying opportunity, I would tell them do not. If you're having any holding right here, do not exit, but largely use these three stocks as purely as an intraday play. And when you're going to do as an intraday play, mind that there is going to be extreme volatility, because this stock is definitely not out of the woods, and it will continue to showcase a lot of supplies at higher levels. So that is my take on these three stocks.
You know, two more stocks that Mr. Bhasin was also mentioning, they're the big earnings candidates to watch today, ITC and State Bank of India. Now, let's talk about SBI first. There's been a 12-13% downturn that SBI has seen in the last 3 to 4 weeks. Good time to buy, given that fundamentals look extremely strong. Everybody seems to be very upbeat on the banking space, especially SBI, sort of to lead from the front.
Yeah, so on this point, I'll definitely agree that yes, it's a good point to buy into. Well, the stop losses could be a little deeper. So until it crosses 480, so 480 is quite further away from here. So buy at here or on declines towards 500 with a stop loss below 480. Then it could be a very good positional play. And from the way the kind of exposure which they have to the Adani Group, it's hardly anything compared to their entire loan holdings. So I don't think they should be in they should be in any problem. And if they come out with stellar results, then it's all the way up from here, because definitely there are some signs of reversals emerging in SBI.
You know, if SBI saw a 13% up move in a 13% downtick in the last 1 month, you had an ITC which was, moving the other way, and what a rally has ITC seen. I mean, after, all of last year when it continued to outperform the markets, outperform many of its large cap peers, ITC still continues to be extremely strong, extremely resilient, made a fresh lifetime high as well ahead of its numbers. So what do you think lies ahead today and in the coming few days for ITC?
Yeah, ITC has got out of a very big time warp since September 2022. It has been in a range bound movement. And what has really happened is that the kind of, if you had observed on the budget day, when the cigarette sale was announced, the hike in the prices dropped. But then when the clarification came, it quickly reversed. That was the turning point in the entire ITC movement. What really happened from there on was something phenomenal, and we saw from the lows of the budget day it has gone up by 50 rupees, so which is quite phenomenal considering ITC. And what I see is that it's made a nice rounding pattern on the daily chart, and I envisage a target of around 500 within the next 3 months.
Okay, all right. Next stock on my list is IndusInd Bank. Again, this one in the last 1 week, 10 days has given up close to 200 rupees. The news flow here is that Hinduja Group is looking to increase its stake to 26%. This is a story, a source-based story that CNBC TV 18 had reported. IndusInd International Holdings, according to them, has prepared an application and will be submitting the same to the Reserve Bank of India. Talk to us about IndusInd Bank. After the 200 rupees, that the stock has come off in the last couple of days, do you think it's a good time to enter?
No, definitely not. I continue to maintain a negative bias in IndusInd Bank, and I feel that the stocks can travel further towards 950 levels, because the structure is weak. It spent quite a bit of time trying to revive the sentiment, and the sentiment has given up. So I continue to you can use a rally to sell, or you can sell at current levels. It's definitely on a negative bias.
All right. Okay. And the final stock again from the financial services space, of course, an asset management company, HDFC. SEBI has approved sale of stake by ABRDN Investment. They will be reducing their shareholding in HDFC Investment to sub 10% levels. Now, how's HDFC AMC looking on the chart?
Yeah, HDFC AMC is going through a very rough patch, and I feel that the downward trajectory could continue. And if it were to break yesterday's low, it would really trigger some very sharp downside, and we can see a correction towards 1700 within the next 1 month.
Okay, all right. Moving on, quickly bringing up some of the viewer queries as well. We have a question from Rohit Ghai. He wants your view on Patanjali. Now, we've been getting a lot of queries on this one. Once a trader's favorite, looks like it has fallen out of favor. What lies ahead for Patanjali?
Yeah, like you mentioned, there are more declines ahead, and it doesn't seem to be stopping. And the way the entire trajectory is indicating, it could head towards much lower level. Even if there is a rally, you would experience some selling at around 1100 zones. So it's definitely on the way down.
Okay. The next query is coming in from Meena. They want to know about Canara Bank. Now, like many of its PSU banking peers, this one has also cooled off a tad, 14-15% in the last 1 month. Good time or a good opportunity to buy into PSU banking stocks, or is Canara not looking as attractive perhaps as an SBI was?
So what I would like to mention here is that at this moment, all the banking stocks are weathering the storm. Now, how much of the storm can they weather is something we'll have to see over time. Yes, it has dipped into nice set of supports. So if you want to consider a buying opportunity here, the stop loss would be below 270. But then the overall trajectory is indicating some move to the way down. So I would not be a buyer at this moment.
Okay. All right. Um, Ashok is asking us about IRCTC. What is the way forward there? How is it likely to play out?
IRCTC, like we have always discussed, it revs up some momentum ahead of the budget and then it cools off. What we are seeing as far as the price movements are concerned is that there is continued pressure at current levels. So I would not advocate a buy into ITC. If you are holding any, if there is a holding in this, look to exit below 600 levels.
Okay. How about Wipro? We have a query coming in from Rishi on Wipro. 5-6 months, I mean, it has been just going around in that range. Talk to us about if Wipro is something that one should look at from an investment standpoint, or are there better names in the IT pack that one can focus on?
Yeah, after a long time, Wipro seems to be coming out of the woods, and yes, it is indicating that yes, the bad times may be over. There was a very, very sharp decline over the last almost more than 1 year. Now, I feel that if you want to look into IT on a value scale and on a long-term perspective, say over the next 6 months, Wipro could be a very good bet.
Okay.
So,
All right.
a very good question. I definitely wager a buy in Wipro. Your stop losses are much closer. You can keep a stop loss below 380 and hold it for a positional play where you can target anywhere in the region of 500 to 550 as the target zone.
Okay, all right. What about hotel sector stocks? Paridhi is asking us if there are any hotel companies that she can look into.
Yeah, Indian Hotel is definitely very good. It's looking quite positive. It's come out with decent set of numbers. So I will definitely go in with Indian Hotels.
Okay. Manish wants to know about Sterlite Technologies. What is the view there?
Sterlite Technology has been very iffy. There has not been any kind of movement. Yes, it has tried to make an attempt on several occasions, but it is continuing to fail. So do not invest into this counter. If you are holding this counter, your exit point would be around 160 levels.
Okay. The next query is coming in from Arun. They want your view on Titan. Now, Titan, of course, has also been a bit of a laggard the last many months now. What is the way forward likely to be for Titan?
Yeah, everyone is betting their hopes on Titan revival. There are a lot of positive news flows which are coming through, but that's not seeming to be reflecting on the prices. So the overall setup is hinting at some negative bias, and I would continue to support that view because if it shows a move below 2280, then you would see a very sharp decline that would carry it all the way towards 2200.
Okay. Shivananda is asking if he can hold on to Gland Pharma for the long term. What do you think?
Gland Pharma, yes, it had its share of glory, but then right now the only way it is heading is it's heading down. So yes, if it's way beyond your entry price or whatever be the case, revival in this stock seems to be very distant at this moment. And from its glory highs of 4,000 to all the way till 1,200. So I don't think that the stock will recover anytime in a hurry. So it depends on what kind of investment horizon you're having. And that's the reason why I am giving a statement with a disclaimer that it is an exit, but then it depends how much of the loss you can handle.
Okay, and finally, Rohan wants to know about DMart. How is the chart looking for DMart?
Yeah, DMart also had its share of glory till October 2021, and since then, this stock continues to witness some exits, and it is not the same story of giving you that kind of return as far as an investment perspective is concerned. So I feel that this stock could head south, and the symptoms are emerging. So one should look to exit DMart right away.
Okay. Sunil wants your view on Deepak Fertilizers. Now, this one as well has been very sluggish and range bound last 1.5 months. Do you think it could
Yeah.
break out of that mode?
So Deepak Fertilizer has come into some strong set of supports, and it is definitely showing its sign of revival. So it is a it's like a standoff point for Deepak Fertilizer. So if it moves below 575, then one should exit this counter, because it's currently it is at the last point of revival. So if it breaks below this, then you will definitely experience some decline.
Okay. I know for a fact that one of your two stock recommendations for the day is also from the fertilizer space. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what stocks are you eyeing?
Yeah, I am eyeing at UPL, and I am going with a short in UPL at the current levels, with a stop at 715 for a target towards 680, 670, because the kind of reaction which we saw yesterday has triggered a lot of selling biases, and that could take the prices down. So that's why I'm having a sell here, and I'm having a buy in IT. IT continues to weather the storm, and I would say IT and FMCG are two packs which are acting as a good defensive bet in this current uncertain environment. And Infi is looking like a good play which you can consider, with a buy at current levels for with a stop at 1565 for a target of 1610 to 1625.
Okay, great. Raja, thank you so much for joining us once again and sharing with us your picks, your readings of the market, and helping our viewers out as always. Guys, with that, it's going to be a wrap from my end on Morning Trade with Moneycontrol. It's also my last show with Moneycontrol. It's been a pleasure bringing you all news, insights, updates, analysis, discussions all through these months. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in day and day out, talking to us, interacting with us, sharing your feedbacks and thoughts with us as well. Thank you once again. It's a wrap for now.